There are some who look at the data and suggest that you're enjoying a competitive advantage. What do you say to that?
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you an update on the transgender swimmer from UPenn by the name of Lia Thomas. Now, I've covered this person extensively on the channel because Lia Thomas came into women's swimming in UPenn after swimming for 3 years as a male on the males team. And of course, on the males team, Lia was not doing very well when Lia was known as William. Wasn't doing very well, wasn't really ranking, just, kind of an average Joe at best, average at best, right? All of a sudden, William becomes Lia and is dominating. This is totally unfair. I've said it's unfair. Even Caitlyn, formerly known as Bruce Jenner, said it's unfair. Now, Lia has not done any interviews up until now, and we're going to watch it. If you want to see this full interview, I'll link to it in the box. I'll also link to one from ESPN. But let's jump straight into it, and I'm going to pause it at certain points to give my reaction.
Across the country, 23-year-old Lia Thomas.
Lia Thomas pulling away.
The UPenn swimmer making history in March as the first known transgender athlete to win a Division I national title. But her athletic achievements on the women's swim team igniting fierce debate over fairness in women's sports.
It is just not fair.
When it comes to competition, it's just not a fair fight.
Throughout the controversy, Thomas has largely remained quiet until now.
I knew there would be scrutiny against me if I competed as a woman.
Let's just pause for a minute. Hold on. Let me go back a little bit. Can I get a freeze frame? Okay. Lia has some type of nose ring right here. Just in case you were wondering, is it a booger or what's going on? That's some kind of nose ring. Just to let you know. But let's start from the top of this person's conversation so we don't lose any context.
Now,
I knew there would be scrutiny against me if I competed as a woman. I was prepared for that, but I also don't need anybody's permission to be myself and to do the sport that I love.
Well, actually, Lia, you do need permission. You need permission to be on the team at all, whether you male, female, whatever it is. You must have permission to be on the team. That's first. Second, you must have permission to be able to compete as a woman on the women's team when you're a biological XY male. That's just a fact. So you don't need permission to be yourself in your everyday life, but you must have permission to do what you're doing as far as being involved in NCAA sports.
assigned male at birth, Thomas grew up in Austin, Texas.
Assigned male at birth? How do you get assigned male at birth? When you're born, they can see what your parts are, so that's just what it is. Ain't no assigned. Like, what you mean? God assigned it? Genetics assigned it? It wasn't like, oh, okay, I'm going to just flip a coin and say that's a boy. That's not how that works. But you see how this little language is going in mainstream media? You see how they say little things? Assigned male at birth.
Where she says she fell in love with swimming when she was just 4. But as she grew, she says she felt increasingly disconnected to her body.
One thing I noticed is that when you're talking about these trans issues, they use the crap out of the she pronouns. She. Can we use a different word aside from she? Can we get other pronouns, prepositions, conjunctions, something? Good grief.
I didn't feel like I was a boy. I was like, this isn't me. This isn't who I am.
Thomas earned a spot at her Ivy League dream school, UPenn, on the men's team. But by her sophomore year, she says her gender dysphoria left her depressed and suicidal.
Why use the updated pronouns for previous events? Because when Lia was William identified as a man. So why are we using the she pronouns for prior events? You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense.
I was barely going to classes. I could really barely get out of bed. And I said, I can't live like this anymore. I want to be able to do things I enjoy.
Even if it might cost me my swimming career.
Yeah, and that's part of what kept me from transitioning for so long, is I wasn't sure if I could continue swimming and doing.
But my thing is, you can transition, you can identify as whatever you want to identify to stay on the men's team. Why can't you do that? I don't see why that would be a bad thing. I mean, are you gay? Like, what's going on? If you gay, who cares? It's gay guys on men's college sports teams and pro sports teams. So I don't really understand what's going on. And you're not even gay. You just identify something else. Keep being on the men's team and swim with them.
Doing the sport that I love.
Thomas began HRT, hormone replacement therapy, in May of her sophomore year, 2019.
The mental and emotional changes actually happened very quickly. I was feeling a lot better mentally. I was less depressed, and I lost muscle mass, and I became a lot weaker and a lot slower in the water.
After following NCAA guidelines,
So we acknowledge right here that when you get put on hormone replacement therapy, it's going to change your muscle mass and make you weaker and slower. So we're acknowledging, like, if men and women are the same, then there'll be no need for that, right? It wouldn't be any need for that. So let's hang on to that thought as we continue.
of a year of hormone therapy to change gender categories, Thomas started her senior year on the women's team. But her success in the water was met with outrage leading up to the NCAA championships. Her critics say she jumped in the rankings between the men's and the women's team.
And there are some who look at the data and suggest that you're enjoying a competitive advantage. What do you say to that?
There's a lot of factors that go into a race and how well you do.
Bone structure, DNA, height, weight, prior experience, prior training, living your whole life as a male up until your early 20s, and still being a biological XY male. How about those factors?
And the biggest change for me is that I'm happy. And sophomore year, where I had my best times competing with the men, I was miserable. And so having that be lifted is incredibly relieving and allows me to put my all into training, into racing. Trans
Very selfish.
people don't transition for athletics. We transition to be happy and authentic and our true selves. Transitioning to get an advantage is not something that ever factors into our decisions.
You didn't transition to win more medals.
No.
Thomas
I don't know about that one. Like, cause my thing is, again, why not just stay on the men's team? If it's not about winning medals, why not just stay on the men's team? You could do that because that's where you already were. So why not just stay right there?
quickly became a lightning rod. 16 of her own teammates and some of their parents wrote anonymous letters arguing Thomas posed a threat to women's sports.
The women who signed the letter anonymously said that they absolutely supported your right to transition, but they simply think it's unfair for you to compete against cisgendered women.
You can't go halfway and be like, I support trans women and trans people, but only to a certain point, where if you support trans women as women and they've met all the NCAA requirements, and then I don't know if you can really say something like that.
See, here's the thing though. Now, whatever you want to do, big dog, that's on you. However you want to identify, you want to come up with this hairstyle looking like Bret the Hitman Hart, 1996 or whatever it is, man, that's your business. Do whatever you want. See, that's your life. I support you in your life and doing what you want to do. The problem is when you interfere with other people's lives. Okay, you got these girls been training all their life, trying to go to college, trying to make rank, and here you come interrupting somebody's dream, dominating these girls to the point they have no chance. You're about 6'3", 6'4", a male skeletal structure, male DNA. It's unfair. It's unfair because of your biological advantage that the girl simply cannot have. That's all. Yes, you can say both. That's possible.
Trans women are not a threat to women's sports.
While the science on transgender athletes is new and evolving, some medical experts
Oh, it's evolving now, but usually it's subtle when you're talking about other things, but I digress.
say the effects of higher testosterone during male puberty may never be fully erased.
Duh.
What are the physical aspects that trans women may not be able to roll back with hormone therapy.
Obviously, issues related to body size, airway size, hand size, foot size, perhaps bone density, and so forth. But I think the main thing is just the interactions of exercise training and skeletal muscle.
Are you saying that years of hormone therapy cannot put trans women in a place to compete with cisgendered women?
The hormone therapy cannot change your skeleton. It cannot make you go from 6'4" to 5'5" or 5'3", whatever the average height for a woman is. It's just not gonna. That's not how that works. It ain't gonna shrink your hands. It ain't gonna shrink your feet. It's just not gonna do that. So shout out to them for having the actual doctor, scientist, whatever he is. Shout out to them for having him on and giving some real information here.
I think that evidence so far would suggest that periods of a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years is probably insufficient.
There is this concept of the legacy effects of testosterone, and that can't ever be zero. Should that eliminate or disqualify transgender women?
Yes.
I'm not a medical expert, but there's a lot of variation among cis female athletes. There's cis women who are very tall and very muscular and have.
Okay, let's just pause that right there. You're talking about what he says cis, he means biological XX women. Now, there are some very tall and masculine and whatever women, but let's talk about the WNBA briefly. I don't want to bore you to death, but the WNBA, the tallest woman, Brittany Griner, who's over in Russia right now because of the whole weed thing, but that's a different story. Anyway, the tallest WNBA woman, or one of the tallest, she's like 6'8". She can barely dunk a basketball, but you got 5'6" men that can dunk with ease. With ease. Spud Webb, 5'6", won the dunk contest back in the day. She's 6'8" and can barely get over the rim. She might dunk once or twice, and it's not like men and women are vastly different. Period.
Have more testosterone than another cis woman, and should that then also disqualify them?
In January, the NCAA updated its transgender athlete eligibility guidelines, saying each sport's governing body could make their own rules. Later clarifying it wouldn't impose the new rules mid-season, clearing the way for Thomas to compete at the NCAAs.
It was an incredible experience. To be able to fulfill that personal goal and be at that meet, as well as competing as my authentic self, was just such an amazing experience to have these.
Me. No concept of other people and what they got going on. It's all about me.
These things that I've been working towards for so long all come together.
Are there Olympics in your future?
Lord.
It's been a goal of mine to swim at Olympic trials for a very long time, and I would love to see that through.
Now her college swimming career is over. Leah just graduated from UPenn and is getting ready for law school, perhaps a future career as a civil rights lawyer advocating for trans rights, George.
Of course it's going to be like a civil rights attorney, because now you get a notoriety. I might see some of the play here. I see some of the play. It's like, all right, well, look, let me go ahead and just do this on my last year, get a lot of attention. I got this name now, Leah Thomas. Now I'm going to be Leah Thomas, attorney at law. And I'm going to be representing trans people, and I'm going to be on the forefront of all of that. Maybe that's the play. Maybe it wasn't even about being a dominant swimmer. Maybe it wasn't even about that. Maybe it was about doing something else. A la Colin Kaepernick. Is it about playing football, or is it about being the brand ambassador for Ben & Jerry's and Nike and the Peloton ripoff and whatever else he has going on? Maybe that's the play. But as I close, I'm going to say this. This interview was something else, very selfish. All about is self-aggrandizement, not thinking about anybody else and what their concerns are, not really caring about it. It's me, and quote-unquote my community, the trans community. That's just what it is. Ain't nothing else to it. And that's really unfortunate that it's like that, because you don't live in this world by yourself. You live in the world with other people, and at a certain point, you can't just ignore them like they're not there. You must take what they think and how they feel into consideration. That's just how life and people operate. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this Leah Thomas interview? Was it a good interview, bad interview? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. This was pretty ridiculous, really selfish, but it just lets you know that this isn't really about anything else other than somebody, what they want to do for themselves. Okay, I want to do this and I want to do that. All right. Just trying to gain things for themselves. The person said, well, I'm not doing this to win medals, all this and that, but maybe you're doing it for other things. And maybe you lied about not doing it for the medals, because clearly that's a motivating factor, or else you would have stayed on the men's team where you were already. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.